భారత కేంద్ర వాణిజ్యం మరియు పరిశ్రమల శాఖ మంత్రి పీయూష్ గోయల్ మీట్ అండ్ గ్రీట్ కార్యక్రమం కాలిఫోర్నియాలోని బే ఏరియాలో ఘనంగా జరిగింది. కాన్సులేట్ జనరల్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా, శాన్ ఫ్రాన్సిస్కో, టీఐఈ, సిలికాన్ వ్యాలీ, ఇండియా కమ్యూనిటీ సెంటర్, ఐఐటి స్టార్టప్లు, ఎస్బీఐ కాలిఫోర్నియా మరియు ఐసీఐసీఐ బ్యాంకులతో కలిసి నిర్వహించిన ఈ సమావేశంలో పీయూష్ గోయల్ పాల్గొని ప్రసంగించారు. ఈ సందర్భంగా ప్రవాసులు అడిగిన పలు ప్రశ్నలకు సమాధానం చెప్పారు.
Wherein we see a lot of creative women making creative products, like when you talk about one district, one product, it should be one village, one product, or maybe one district, one product, but how do we get those women out of their comfort zone? They are very creative, but they do not know any entrepreneurship or any business ideas.
Exactly what I just explained. We are going to have the district officials and district teams reach out to them. We're going to have Institute of Design, Packaging, Fashion Technology, help them in creating better products or standardize the products, better quality products, packaging them better. We're going to look at GEM, helping them catalog their products. It's a work in progress. It can't be done overnight. There are thousands of products in the 750 or 740 odd villages, districts all across the country. Need not be literally one district, one product. So there could be a district which may have 2 or 3 unique products. While the program is one district, one product, we recognize that some districts may have more than one really fascinating.
Indian School of Business in India, in collaboration with Goldman Sachs, is giving training to such entrepreneurship women from different parts of India, especially coming from the villages. So is Government of India planning such training program to upgrade the women in their skills?
Well, it's a continuous process. It will have to be done by the district officials at the state level, at the district level. Government of India can play a supportive role. Details of the $1.4 trillion infrastructure program are in the public domain, and that does give you all the details of highways, roads, railways, airport infrastructure, the various elements of that plan. But on renewable energy, we have a very, very clear target of 500 gigawatts of clean energy, renewable energy that we are shooting to generate in India, install capacity in India. Simultaneously, now new technologies, for example, on green hydrogen are coming up. So we are continuously engaged with the rest of the world. We're also focused on R&D in India. Understanding of the government's thinking of this subject about 2 years ago, when she gave the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. And we are broadly going as per that plan. At appropriate times and at appropriate levels, decisions will be taken for specific privatization of companies. But 2 things I can certainly confirm: that State Bank of India is considered a strategic investment by the government and will not get privatized at all. Similarly, Food Corporation of India plays an important role in our food security. So it has a role in procurement of food grains to create a buffer stock for our security. It also has an important role in distribution of food grains to the poor and the less privileged sections of society. Therefore, I don't think FCI at any point of time is up for privatization. So these 2 I can certainly confirm. I'm not so sure whether your information on the other companies you mentioned is correct, but that's for the government to take a decision from time to time. And as and when we take that decision, it's obviously put out in public domain. But the strategy, overall strategy, is to have only strategic sectors where government has an important role to play under government ownership, and as far as possible, even in the strategic sectors, have a limited number of players. That could be by merger of different companies into one or a few entities, or it could be by privatization, but that's a dynamic decision. Very often when I'm asked what's the one program that makes you really proud or satisfied with your work, I think collectively as a nation, we all should be proud that though sadly it took us 75 years, but when we came into government in 2014, 50% of India didn't have a toilet. You know, Hindi movies used to have songs with C.V. Gariwal going into the fields, singing with, carrying water from the water tank to our home or going into the fields in the morning. It's not something to be proud of. It was something very, very unfortunate. It was an attack on the dignity of our sisters, our mothers, our daughters. But until 2014, what a careless attitude we had towards a basic necessity as a toilet in every home. But Prime Minister Modi himself, coming from a very humble background, having experienced poverty, having experienced all these difficulties of a government school, of earning to make a living and to get educated, literally selling tea in a tea vent at a railway station. All those difficulties gave him the right ideas, and one of the first programs he announced was Swachh Bharat. And I think each one of you from America, when you would come back home, you would be disturbed at the levels of garbage that you would see there. You went to a good tourist spot but didn't have a toilet there. Things are changing. We've invested nearly 1.25 lakh crore rupees so that every home could get a toilet. But then there'll always be satisfaction levels. As I said, I like the nation to be dissatisfied. So everywhere where I go, I always use the toilet which is for the public. And you should see the officials scurrying to try and get me to use the director's office or the consul general's office. But I never do that. I like to go to the public toilet. So that gives you a sense of really what's happening on the ground. And that's the new India that we are trying to create.
My question to you is the changing geopolitical relationship between US and China. There's a huge growing opportunity, and with, like recently President passed the CHIPS Act, which allowing manufacturing or advancing manufacturing of chips in US. There's a huge opportunity for India to serve as an alternative, as a manufacturing hub to China or to Vietnam. And so I just want to understand from you, what are you doing to seize this opportunity and advance this India's manufacturing?
Including our focus on ease of doing business, the lower corporate tax that I just mentioned to encourage investments into India. We have our own semiconductor policy to promote semicon, to promote investments in semiconductor. It's actually much larger than the American plan. It's a $76 billion government incentive program. From whatever little detail I have of chips, it draws a lot from what the Indian program was, which we announced about 7-8 months ago. So their 40 billion plan also is talking about 50% or so of the capex being financed by the government and similar other initiatives. And that's about the level of funding that the Indian government is also giving for any investments on semiconductor. Similarly, on 13 other sectors, we've come up with a production-linked incentive scheme to promote large-scale capacities or large factories with the global scale of operation in different sectors, and try and offer support to companies who want to relocate or invest in India to be a part of resilient supply chains amongst trusted partners. So we are conscious that there is an opportunity. We're trying to attract and woo investments to come to India, particularly in manufacturing. Having said that, we are also focusing, on the other hand, on better agreements or trading arrangements, out of which UK will probably happen soon, now that we have a government in place there. We could possibly see Canada an early progress trade agreement, like an interim agreement, by the end of the year or early next year, first quarter. Israel is still up in the air because there's not much that we are getting in return. The import duties there are almost zero already on everything. They're not yet willing to open the services sector in a significant way. So until we get a good deal, we are not going to do an FTA. So very clearly it has to be reciprocally beneficial. We are not doing FTAs for the sake of FTA. And our free trade agreement engagements rest on India's national interests. And obviously Israel or other countries will protect their national interests. And it's only when it's a win-win on both sides that a good agreement can happen. If we have to evacuate 20,000 citizens from Ukraine in the midst of the war, the Indian government is up and about, 4 ministers stationed in neighboring countries, 2 ministers in India, the foreign minister and I, working round the clock under Prime Minister Modi's direct supervision and guidance to evacuate our fellow citizens, get them back home. The foreign ministry working round the clock to maintain contact, develop directory of people over there, get them back home. And I must say it was a colossal effort, but a collective effort cutting across ministries, as somebody said, the silos of the departmental interministerial work. This was cutting across ministries. So commerce and industry was as much a part of the foreign ministry, getting Indian investors or investments in these countries, Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Hungary, everybody, investors in these countries pitching in, supporting the effort to evacuate the kids and the students and other Indian citizens. You had foreign ministry officials. Very often, they are unsung heroes you don't know about, who actually went into the war zone to interact with the last 3,000 kids in Sumi, which was the toughest part of the evacuation. They were in bunkers in Sumi. They were very scared to come out. So Indian officers from India flew down to Ukraine, went close to Sumi, stationed themselves there. First evacuation operation failed of youngsters within your hometown or home place, and used the video conferencing route. And Digital India is taking mobile penetration through the length and breadth of the country. We launched 5G on 1st of October and gradually roll it down across the country. 4G will be there through and through across the country very soon. 2G we already have. 4G, there are about 20,000 villages in remote areas. Some in the deep forests or in mountains where 4G connectivity is a little weak. We just sanctioned $2.5 million to put up 4G towers and systems in these remote villages also. So we have a 100% 4G connectivity in India. Simultaneously, we are laying down fiber optic to have broadband connectivity in the remotest parts of India so that every panchayat gets broadband connectivity. But it's reported that more people died of hunger in India than of the Spanish flu itself. Prime Minister Modi made sure that as soon as COVID hit, he doubled down the food grain eligibility of our poor so that no single person had to sleep hungry. And for the last 25 months, 800 million people, apart from the food grains they get under the National Food Security Program, at almost throwaway prices. 1 rupee for coarse grain, 2 rupees for wheat per kilo, and 3 rupees for rice. You know that it's a pretense. It's barely 5 or 7% of the actual cost of the food grain that was being given under the Food Security Program. In addition to that, for 25 months, 800 million people have been given 5 kilograms of food grain free of cost. So in a way, every person got double the grain And this cost the government 3.5 lakh crores. It's almost $45 billion. 100 million tons of food grain has been distributed free of cost, over and above the 100 million given as part of the food security program in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. Now that's the level of sensitivity in government today. And again, something for each one of you to be proud of, because it's your taxpayer money that helps us run all these welfare programs for the needy. Now, if I was to give you that food grain to any of you or your families back home, that is criminal waste of public wealth or public money. Friends, India is changing, and I do believe it's changing for the better. It's much more confident today. It's much more self-reliant. It engages with the rest of the world from a position of strength. Yet, it's a dissatisfied India, and that's how we want it to be. The day any of us feels we are very satisfied, everything is hunky-dory, everything is great, I think that will be the end of all evolution, all development, all innovation. All newness will be over. And therefore, as much as you get, that much more your desire increases. So, I was in Gujarat on Friday and Saturday last, and I was reminding some of the people I engaged with. I said, you've been enjoying 24/7 power for so many years now that you've forgotten that there was a day and age where power was a luxury. Now the entire country we've been able to ensure that there's adequate power available. Of course you've got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, you don't get that power. As they say, free power is equal to no power. All those promises only mean that you kill the systems, and resultantly you start not getting power if it's going to be free power. Christmas, Diwali, Dasara, Bhai Dooj, New Year, enough and more. Weddings. We are seeing a rush of weddings this coming season because of the backlog post-COVID. Can we all, and instead of giving your Ferragamos and Louis Vuittons or whatever else each one of us in different ways uses, can we look at some Indian products as a part of your wedding gifting, as a part of your Diwali gifting, as a part of your New Year gifting? Imagine how big that contribution can be if the 30 million Indian diaspora worldwide also starts buying Indian products for your requirements. So thank you, friends. Just a parting request at the end. As I said initially, there's no free lunch or free dinner. So I do hope to receive your support in our efforts to make India a developed nation by 2047, when we'll all collect to celebrate India's 100th anniversary of independence. Just like each one of you participated, I'm told, with full gusto in the celebrations of India at 75, the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's all go for it. The next 25 years, the Amrit Kal is going to be the defining period for India's economic history. And we do hope to see a developed nation, a prosperous nation in the next 25. Talk to Zelensky, talk to Putin. Got both of them. Have you ever heard something like this before? Got both of them to refrain from hostilities for half a day almost, during which period the last 3,000 children were evacuated from Syria. The last I heard of a war being stopped for a humanitarian cause was in the Mahabharata. And that's the strength of relationships. That's India's growing prowess in the community of nations. That's Prime Minister Modi's personal goodwill, an equation with world leaders that helps him achieve that. It's vaccine per 3. The Indian sharing of our vaccines. We, in the first 12 crore vaccines that were produced in India, the first 120 million, nearly half of them we gave to needy countries around the world. We were criticized a lot by the opposition, who said, why are you giving out these vaccines? Of course, first they didn't want to take the vaccine. They criticized us for developing vaccines and criticized us for having a made in India vaccine. They refused to take the vaccine. Some of the political leadership there. Then I don't know, they've taken it on the sly or how they took it, we don't know. Data has still not come out. I proudly took a Bharat Biotech vaccine, the Covaxin. Because my wife took the decision and called, she said, look, our kids, and ever since we were kids, we've been vaccinated with Bharat Biotech vaccines. So it must be good. And we decided to take the truly India-developed vaccine, the Covaxin. And putting up the country.
A warm welcome from 1.5 million large, strong and vibrant Indian community on the West Coast. We have our community excelling in across the fields on the West Coast. Let it be agriculture, all the things of pistachio, almond or raisin, you name it's all Indian community here. And IT, VCs, finance, doctors and academia. So in all sectors, Indian community is excelling on the West Coast. If there is any indication of their attachment to motherland, sir, the recent Amrit Mahotsav celebrations on the West Coast is an indication in the region. The group here represents a microcosm of the West Coast here, and innovation is in the air here, and everyone talks about ideas and innovation. And then also always talk about their attachment to the motherland. The minister indicated the deep interest the community here has in India. And we are very happy that as Vijaya Asuri mentioned, we are very fortunate to have Cabinet Minister Shri Piyush Goyal ji after 2 other Cabinet Ministers were here very recently. Sir, we did promote some products as per the directions of Honorable Prime Minister ji and from your instructions from the Commerce Ministry. For example, Lakadong turmeric, Araku coffee, Khadi, we have promoted here. And this year we had Mango Festival too. And then all the way from India we got mangoes. And we also organized Make in India promotional events and also separate events for promoting. And IIT starter, and the place we are sitting is owned by ICIC. Everyone came forward, including SBI and ICIC Bank, to host this particular event to make it a grand success. And we all thank you, despite all your busy schedule, hectic schedule, you are here to interact with the community. Thank you very much, sir. And then we all look forward to interacting with Honorable Minister Shri Piyush Goyal.